Rabbi Friedman, good afternoon. Thank God it's Tuesday. So wonderful to see you on our in our studio over Zoom. It's a day I wait for every single week. And usually we speak about kindness and goodness and generosity, and everything is so positive and fantastic. But I feel like it would be irresponsible not to talk about the other side. I think the most famous saying out there is the root of all evil. So can we talk about evil? Can you please explain to us what is evil and what is the root of it?
Remember, there was a movie, the title was Evil. The name of the movie was Evil, not long ago. And they were advertising it on the side of buses. The whole side of a bus, big word, evil. You want to talk about evil?
Really, but I think we have to.
We have to? Okay.
It's out there. It's out there for sure.
So what exactly is evil? Where does it come from? God creates a world. Who brought in the evil? Obviously, it's part of creation. But it exists on infinite levels. In the earliest, or at least one of the earliest levels, evil is the lack of vision, concealment. And this is something very relevant to our times because, we're getting really uncomfortable with the masks. There are actually children who grow up never saw their teacher's face. They think it's normal. So they never saw a smile, they never saw a frown on their teacher. It's not healthy. And wearing the mask all day long is certainly not healthy. And it's a nuisance and an annoyance, and it's just not natural and doesn't feel comfortable and so on. Now, consider the fact that since God created the world, he has been wearing a mask. Because he can't overwhelm us with his presence. And so he pulls back. He contains himself. He wears a mask. Not to hide his existence or his presence, just to hide his face, which is literally what a mask is. Putting on a mask doesn't mean nobody sees you. It means nobody sees your facial expression. The real you. So God has been wearing a mask since beginning of creation. I'm sure he doesn't like it any more than we do. But that's where evil begins. If I can't see who you really are, that's already the beginnings of a disturbance. A little gap in reality. When that deteriorates further, and by the time it comes into the physical world, it's violent and it's abusive and it's destructive, maybe even self-destructive, then it becomes the kind of evil that horrifies people. But it all begins with a little bit of concealment, a little less than the entire truth. So perceptive people, sensitive people, would say, if it's not the complete truth, then it's a total lie. An incomplete truth is a complete lie. Because eventually that's what's going to develop from it. So what we need and what we're looking for is for the mask to come off. God's mask. God takes his mask off, all evil disappears automatically. Because when the truth is complete, then there is no room for a lie, there is no room for concealment, there's no room for evil. So evil doesn't start off being horrific. It starts off being a little less than the complete truth. But that's the way the world has been since creation. It's been our job to see past the mask, to see past the concealment, to find out what God is really saying, because we hear the words, but we can't read his lips since he's wearing a mask. But once we can see him and hear what he's saying without the concealment, that would make the world perfect. That would be Mashiach. That would be the Tikkun Olam. So the better we can see through the mask, the sooner the mask can come off. Because once it's not hiding anything, what's the point of wearing it? That has been our theme, and that's really what we need to do in these last days of the confusion, of the masking. So you might say, and this is consistent with Kabbalah and Medrash, God created the world by putting on a mask. Now, when history is about to complete itself, we're back to the mask again. We're very conscious of the masking. And so we end up wearing masks. Whether it's medically healthy or not, I don't know, but we're wearing masks. And we know what it feels like, and we desperately want to get rid of it. Well, that gives you a little insight into what's going on in heaven.
Rabbi Friedman, but when you said, what is kindness? You said it's someone who thinks about others before they think about themselves.
Somebody's listening.
How would you identify evil in an equal type of way?
The opposite. Again, on a subtle level, evil means I come first. I come first because I'm more real. I'm real. I mean, I'm for sure. I know myself and I am for sure. I don't know about you. I'm important, that's for sure. You, maybe. You could be important if you serve me. If you differ with me, then you're the enemy and you got to go. So really the opposite of kindness is only me, nobody else. Everybody else is a threat to the me. That is evil. And then it expresses itself in many, many different ways. I don't want to talk to you. I'm suspicious about you. I want to live in my own town. Don't come into my town. Leave me alone. Or I got to wipe you out. You cannot exist on this planet. Not with me. That's how you get the Holocaust and world wars and the really, really evil stuff.
Is the world truly that divided into people who put others ahead of themselves versus the people who think of themselves first?
It's been noticed and commented on that there seems to be two different species of human being. I mean, just completely different. There are people who cannot run over a rabbit with their car. And if they did, they would be sick for a week. And then there are people who can cut somebody else's head off and celebrate and party and just think it's fantastic. And I think I mentioned this once on the show. Gandhi used what he called passive resistance to defeat the British and to give India its independence. During World War II, Gandhi recommended and advised Jews to use his method. Use passive resistance. Lay down in front of a tank and it won't be able to move. Which was terrible advice.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Does that actually work?
But look at the difference. If you lay down in front of an English tank, the tank can't move. He can't. He cannot run you over cold-bloodedly, intentionally. He can't. Not he doesn't believe in it. Not he doesn't want to. He cannot. You've paralyzed him. Lay down in front of a German tank. He'll send you a thank you card for making his job easier. There's such a difference. Actually, I shouldn't say German tank, Nazi tank. So there are different breeds of people, and they're so extremely different. So where does that come from? If you really want to go into a nice Kabbalistic examination.
Very much so.
Okay. We have a godly soul. We have a human soul. And we have a dark soul. What that means exactly is the human soul is what makes us human, what distinguishes us from an animal. The human soul is innocent. Doesn't mean good, just innocent. It thrives on pleasure. Pleasure is not a sin, although it can be. If you take your pleasure a little too seriously, in the pursuit of your pleasure, you could step on people, you could hurt people, you could violate all sorts of laws. You can become a very unhealthy, destructive person. And it's all innocent. You're not out to hurt anybody, you're not out to destroy, you're not even out to break rules. But if pleasure is on the other side of the rule, then, I got to break the rule. So there's an innocence to the human soul that isn't necessarily moral or good. The godly soul that we have is the sense of mission. When you wake up in the morning and you wonder why. Why? Why? Another day of life, that's nice, but why? That's your godly soul. Godly soul means God's message implanted in you. What does that feel like? It feels like a mission. What does God need of me? Why did he create me? That sense of mission or purpose, that's our godly soul. And because of it, we're always looking for the purpose of life, the meaning of life, the beauty of life, because we're not accepting it as is. The human soul accepts life for the pleasure that it gives. That's it. Do I have to know why? Not really. As long as it feels good, I got no further questions. Then there's the dark side. The dark side is like the backlash to the mission. The godly soul feels a sense of mission, and then there's that dark side of our soul that resents it. Don't tell me what to do. I don't owe you anything. The sense of mission says the opposite. The godly soul's sense of mission means I'm not here for me. My existence doesn't justify itself simply by existing. So I have to reach for something higher beyond myself. The dark side of our soul says, I hate that. Don't tell me I'm not the center of the universe. Don't tell me it's not about me. It's all about me. In some way, you could say the dark side of the soul is a God complex. I'm God. That can produce some pretty evil stuff. We're reading in this week's portion about the birth of Yaakov and Esav, twins. Yaakov is a good guy, Esav is a bad guy. Yaakov is peaceful, Esav is violent, warlike. Fascinating description in the Torah. Rivka is pregnant with twins, and she's very concerned. What is she concerned about? She doesn't know she has twins. And yet this fetus, this baby that she's carrying, seems to be a little schizophrenic. Because when she walked past a holy place, the fetus wanted to be born, to present. And when she walked past an idol, the fetus wanted to be born. And she said, wait a minute, what kind of confused kid do I have here? She was so relieved to find out that they're two separate kids. You have a good kid and a bad kid, not one crazy kid. And that was a relief. So she was told there are actually two people in there with different personalities and different values and different instincts. And that's why when you go past a holy place, Yaakov wants to be born. And when you go past the idol, Esav wants to be born. I mean, it's not completely good news, but it's a relief. Because even if you have a bad kid, so you work with him and you make him good. But if you have a confused kid who is torn in two opposite directions, what's the solution? That would be really bad news, right? So the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, if a person is in the middle of praying, talking to God, and all of a sudden he finds his mind wandering to some unholy thoughts, he could accuse himself, and most people do, my prayers are obviously not sincere, I'm not really focused on my prayers, and that's why my mind wanders and ends up in an unholy subject to it. And so my entire davening, my entire prayer is worthless. The Rebbe says, no, that's not true. It would be true if you had only one soul. So yeah, that's a problem. You have one soul, and it's both praying to God and thinking unholy thoughts at the same time. Whoa, that's a problem. Who are you really? What's the real you? And you get into depression and confusion and frustration, and you just give up everything. What's the point? When I'm trying my best to be holy, my unholiness shows up. So I don't know what I am. I don't know what I really want. Who am I really? But the fact is that we have two souls. One pulls us up, the other pulls us down. In fact, and this is the beauty of it, because your prayer was really good and getting better, your other soul had to do something to distract you. So it introduced the unholy thoughts. But it's not true that your prayer was worthless. On the contrary, if it was worthless, the other soul wouldn't have to fight it. And the same is true with every instinct and impulse that we have. We want to give charity. We want to help somebody who's in trouble. And the arrogance of the other soul comes along and says, yeah, you're a very kind person. I mean, look at all the money you're giving away to somebody else. That's magnificent. You must be some kind of an angel. That kind of ruins the whole thing, doesn't it? But no, it doesn't ruin the mitzvah that you're doing, because you're doing the mitzvah with your good soul. And this arrogance and self-congratulation, that's the other soul. Don't pay attention.
Rabbi Friedman, now that you mentioned money, if you Google what is the root of all evil, you'll get the answer, money.
Yes.
Please elaborate. Not true.
It's not true. No, the root of all evil is not money. The root of all evil is my money. See, your money is not evil. My money. But it's the my, not the money. It's the ego, the arrogance, the self-importance. Money does give people a feeling of self-importance because money is valued. Back in Europe, in the shtetl, money wasn't available to most Jewish families. What was valued in that society? Knowledge. Well, in that case, anyone who gained some knowledge tended to become arrogant. So if you have what the community values, it can make you arrogant, because people will admire you for it. So it's not the money, it's the arrogance that people assume when they have money. But you can do the same thing with wisdom, even Torah wisdom, even being good and performing mitzvot all the time. That can go to your head, and it becomes the root of all your evil. So money, there's nothing wrong with money.
So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with this arrogance business?
Well, the only solution is the true solution. For many, many years, people worked really hard on achieving humility. Humble yourself. I'm not sure how one does that successfully. Like, when do you announce to the world, I have successfully become humble? I worked at it. I put a lot of time in it. And I got it. I am now humble. In the Eastern religion, the Eastern philosophy, humility is a big, big subject. You're insignificant in the world. You're a tiny little being in a vast universe. Humility. It's not the best solution. The best solution is simply this. You think you're God, but God is the real God. You think you're God, but here's the real one. So the best way to destroy a counterfeit dollar is to produce a real dollar. So you don't have to focus on how fake the counterfeit is once you see the real one. That's it. So instead of trying to humble yourself, find the importance in someone else. The Rebbe once advised somebody, and it was so characteristic of the Rebbe. Somebody, a very serious student, he was a young boy, but he was very sincere and he was trying very hard to become humble because his school told him that he must. It was crushing him. He was getting depressed over it. So he went to the Rebbe. This is back in the 50s, 1950s. He asked the Rebbe, what advice can the Rebbe give him to counter his arrogance? Here's what the Rebbe said, and this is relevant to everybody in the world. The Rebbe said to him, any time you feel or think that you are better than the person next to you, make sure you are. Is that that is so typical of the Rebbe. Oh, fight that feeling, crush that feeling, humble yourself. You're stupid. You're not better. You're worse. You're low. You're too negative. No, not the Rebbe's way. The Rebbe says, you think you're smarter than the person next to you. Well, then make sure you are. That does two things. First of all, it motivates you to become smarter. Nothing wrong with that. Secondly, by asking yourself, am I really? That's humility. That's humility. You don't have to crush yourself. Just put a little question mark. You know? The arrogant person says, I'm the greatest. Add a question mark. I'm the greatest. That's it. You're humble. Right? In other words, humility doesn't mean I have to be the lowest and the worst of the worst. That's actually arrogant. When I'm low, I am very low. My faults are the biggest faults in the world. My problems, nobody can understand. That's so arrogant. I remember talking to a very depressed guy, and he says, I'm not sure there's any point in talking because you can't understand what I'm going through. I said, why? Are you experiencing something no human being ever experienced? Right? Are you an alien? Or are you a human being? If you're a human being, I'll probably understand your problem. The arrogance of thinking, no, if I'm going to be low, I'm going to be the lowest. No one can be as low as I am. That's not humility. That's arrogance reversed. You know? Humility means, I think I'm smart. Doesn't mean I am. That's it. That's humility. So when I feel like I'm very smart, I say, I am. That's it. That's humility. That doesn't crush you. It doesn't destroy you. And it doesn't focus on yourself. That's it. I think I'm smart. I don't know.
Rabbi Friedman, are there things like demons out there?
Demons?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're surrounded by demons. They're everywhere. Beware. Let me tell you what a demon is. You've heard of anger, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it maybe once in a while?
I think so.
Yeah. So anger is a trait, a characteristic in the human soul. A person can get angry. But anger is not limited to the person, right? Anger exists. It's a reality. There's a little bit of anger in each of us, but there is anger, the generic anger. It exists. It's an energy in the universe. When you feel anger, you're tapping into that. You're not creating anger. Human beings don't make anger. They get angry because anger exists. When you let it in or you tap into it, then you experience anger. The same is true with positive energies. You don't create love in your heart. Love exists in the universe. It's an energy. It's a vibration. It's a frequency. And when you let it in or when you bump into it, you feel love. You don't create love. You don't create anger. And you don't create jealousy. And you don't create depression. They're out there. You can either tap in or not tap in. You can either feel a lot of it or a little of it. But what happens when one of those impulses, one of those vibrations, overwhelm you? You know, there are times I get angry, and there are times I lose control in anger, which means there are times when I have an anger which I'm on top of, I'm using it, I'm experiencing it, I'm even justifying it. And then there are times where I'm just overwhelmed by it. I can't control it. When anger is overwhelming, that's a demon, an energy that you cannot control. When love is overwhelming or compassion is overwhelming, it's not you anymore. That's called an angel. So we are affected by demons and angels. But the reason we call it that is because sometimes your compassion is what you're made of, and sometimes the compassion in the universe is overwhelming you. It's like something else taking control of your heart. So either that's an angel or a demon. So demons are not, black cats with wings that suck your blood or something. A demon means an energy that overwhelms you, negative. An angel is an energy that overwhelms you in the positive.
Can I ask a couple of very specific questions?
About demons?
So I have a friend, and it's true, I do have a friend. She's a devoted Catholic, and her son, her older son, became gay. And the way she explains this is, she says, evil came to get him. Then I have another friend who has a lot of problems in her life. And she feels like she's been jinxed, that somebody put a curse on her. So she is also attesting it to demons. How would you address those two situations?
We're talking about energies, vibrations in the universe. Light comes in many levels of vibration. Sound comes in many levels of vibration. And emotions, feelings exist on many vibrational levels. Some of those emotions are good, some are not. So, for example, if someone is jealous of you, that produces some negative vibration. Not only in the jealous person, but in the environment in which you live. You walk into a room where everybody is angry, you're going to feel it. It becomes palpable. Walk into a room where everybody is depressed, you're going to feel it. Just like if you walk into a room where everybody is optimistic and happy. So those are the demons created by others. You don't want to make people jealous of you because that produces some very negative demons. You don't want people criticizing you, blaming you of things that you're not even guilty of, because even though it's not true and therefore should have no effect, but it does. It creates a negative vibration. So there's an amazing little prayer we say in the morning, every morning. And it seems a little negative and depressing. And yet, that's how we start our day. Listen to this. Loose translation. May it be your will, God, our God, the God of our fathers, to save me today, like every day, from from arrogance and from arrogant people, from bad people, from bad friends, from bad neighbors, from bad incidences, from an evil eye, from slander, from false accusations, from false testimony, for baseless hatred, for schemes and plots against me, from weird death, from weird illnesses, and from unexpected events. How depressing is all that?
Very.
Very, right?
So this is the world we live in.
But look at the brilliance of it. Here is a complete list. It's a complete list of all the things that I can do nothing about. What can I do about people talking about me? There's nothing I can do. What can I do about people who hate me? What can I do about a bad neighbor or a bad friend or a bad person? They're unavoidable. I'm totally vulnerable. I'm totally helpless in these areas. Now, I can ignore it, make believe it doesn't exist, but I'm just hiding my anxieties. By saying it out loud every morning, it is so healthy. Okay, here's a list of things that I'm so vulnerable and I'm so defenseless. I can do nothing about this. So God, take care of it for me. Protect me from the things I cannot protect myself from. Once I articulate it, once I've said it, I'm okay. I'm not hiding it. I'm not suppressing it. I'm not denying it. And I'm not arrogant enough to think that I can protect myself. So it's really like a reality check. I'm turning over to God the things that I cannot control. It's very healthy.
Rabbi Friedman, what page in the Chabad Siddur is this on?
Well, it depends on which Siddur, but it's right in the morning prayer. One of the first things you say in the morning, right after thanking God for opening your eyes and allowing you to stand up straight and
I was actually
put on shoes.
I was skipping that one. I was wrong.
Yeah. It's really brilliant.
Absolutely. Thank you. You got my attention for sure. Rabbi Friedman, but what about the other lady who's a devoted Christian, and for her, going against her faith, she feels like the evil came to get her child. And she attests this to demons coming after him.
So in a sense, she's right. There is some very negative energy going on that is turning her child away from faith and away from belief and away from commitment. So, in psychology, they would call that oppositional defiant disorder. But where does that come from? From some very bad energy going on in the house or in the school, whatever. You want to call that a demon? That's okay. Some people have 2 demons, 3 demons. Some people are just surrounded by demons. Children. And if you notice, there are certain children that any kind of trouble they can get into, they will. Anytime something bad is happening, they're part of it. It's like a magnet draws them to everything negative, everything bad, everything nasty. Just like there are kids who are the exact opposite. Whenever anything nice is happening, this kid is there. So yeah, these are energies that flow and drag people here or there. And that's why you have to produce a healthy lifestyle, which means healthy vibrations.
How?
There was a woman who was a minister in her church. I don't remember which denomination. And she was also evangelical. She was a missionary. And we were sitting on the plane. And we got into a conversation. And she says, what advice would you have for what happened to us? Our 14-year-old daughter was arrested for shoplifting. And that's really embarrassing because, we're the preachers and the teachers and our child is arrested for shoplifting. Right, she shoplifted $400 worth of merchandise. Or she tried to anyway. So I said to her, she says, do you know the worst part of it is? She doesn't even feel bad. She doesn't even apologize. She said, she's not even repentant. At least if you would get down on your knees and cry and beat yourself up, that would make up for it somehow. But she's not even repentant. I said, well, why should she be repentant? It's your religion, not hers. This woman said, that's exactly what she said. How did you know? I said, it's what every teenager says. You have your religion, you try to impose it on your kid, and the kid says, no, I don't want it. It's not my religion. It's yours. You keep it. I'm not keeping it. She said, so what would be the solution? I said, did you ever tell your child that God really gets upset if you steal? She says, we don't talk like that. We don't live by the law. We live by grace. We taught our children to love God. And so you never told her that God would be upset if she steals? She says, no. I said, well, then it's your fault. You teach her to love God. She loves God. She also wants $400 worth of merchandise. And she really believes that God is on her side and will help her steal it. Why not? You never told her God is against stealing. We make this big mistake, we try to produce positive energy, positive vibrations, but what exactly is positive? Oh, love God. Yeah, that's really positive. Yeah, but what does it have to do with having my own bracelet? What does it have to do with? You're not applying it. So the vibration may be good, but nobody can tap into it in a constructive way. It's too vague. We spoke about this last week, I think, or maybe the week before. People want more love in the world. There's too much violence. There's too much crime. We need more love. No. Love is very nice, but first stop shooting me before you start loving me. Let's take it one step at a time. We can't go from violence to love. It's a nice thought, but it ain't going to happen. You go from misbehavior to behavior. Then we'll take care of the emotional side of things. But you gotta make it real. So stop shooting, put away the guns. Then we'll talk about love. But you can't ask for love when people are shooting each other. So you cannot ask people to love God when they're still in love with themselves and they want that bracelet really badly.
Rabbi Friedman, we have, unfortunately, maybe another 3 minutes to go.
Oh, man, that was fast.
Yes, I know, especially today when it's so important. So can we please...
It just proves that it's so much fun talking about evil.
It's fun talking about everything with you, but it's just evil is the talk of the day. And actually, that's what I would like to maybe have a grand finale with, for you to assess what is happening energy-wise, since we were talking about how we tap into it, what is going on in the world today of good versus evil. And everybody is using just this language, that this is a war of good and evil. The first time we heard it was actually from you. So what is actually happening right now in a Torah sense?
What is happening right now is that people are tapping into goodness like never before. The problem is, how do you make a headline out of that? Woman spotted being good. How do you make a headline? Goodness taking over the world. Can we have a picture of the goodness? No. It's not a picture. Anyway, so the fact is, the world is moving, people are moving in such a positive direction. Again, not on the surface, not what you can take a picture of and put up in the headlines and on television. In the real world, people are becoming good. Putin made a statement recently that said, I know people don't like Putin, and there's no reason to like him, but listen to what he said. I have a Torah sitting on my desk, and I read it because it gives me inspiration. Hello, this is Russia.
Well, I just like him a lot more just
this
by
is
that
a
alone.
KGB agent. This is atheism at its best. He has a chumash that Rabbi Lazar gave him. It sits on his desk and it gives him inspiration. Is that going to make it to the headlines? No.
I think it just did.
But this stuff is going on all over the world. It is really encouraging. This is not faith anymore. This is current events. Finally, all the things that we believed are now becoming current events. Day by day, country by country, person by person. It is much more widespread than Corona.
How do we accelerate on that?
That is the ultimate question. Look around and do something holy. Holy means not for me. That's it. That makes it holy. If you do something good and it's not for you, that's holy. So do something holy, or what they call random kindness. Kindness for no particular reason. You just happened to notice an opportunity to do something kind, and you did it. Why? I don't know. Random. That's called godly. When you do kindness without any plan or scheme or desire for some kind of an outcome, that's godly. That's even better than good. It's godly. So a little more of that, and we might even make it to the headlines. Might even break through into the fake news world, and even the news will tell the truth. Soon.
Waiting every day, actively waiting and trying to help things along. I hope everybody who listens to this program is certainly doing that. I'm sure. Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much. Incredible every single time, and hopefully we'll see some headlines before today and next Tuesday. Some kind of headlines that we're looking for.
Yep. All it takes is one brave writer.
I think they're coming out.
Chutzpah is the word. One writer with a little chutzpah.
Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much.
Be well.
You too. Thank you so much.
And lots of good news.
Amen. Amen.